We now have an official trade offer for Calgary Flames D-man Rasmus Andersson. And I'm gonna be real, it's a lot bigger than I thought it would be. The Calgary Flames defenseman is a name that we have discussed on the YouTube channel before. He's 29 years old, 6'1", 203, right-handed D-man, signed till the end of this season, making $4.5 million a year. We just made a video yesterday talking about the Rasmus Andersson trade talks with the Detroit Red Wings, but now, seems like we actually have a price laid out for us here. Andersson is on the market for a bad Calgary Flames team that could be looking to sell. He's got 29 points in 46 games, on pace for about 52 over the course of a full 82. Which is quite remarkable considering the fact that he is on pace for what would technically be a career high in points. He's never been this productive, despite the fact that he has been this utilized over the course of the past few Flames seasons. But leave it to James Murphy on rg.org to provide us with the scoop as to what the first official offer seems to have been for Rasmus Andersson. Let's dive into this piece. It'll be linked in the description below for your reading pleasure. But it turns out the Bruins, Red Wings, and Senators are all in on a Rasmus Andersson trade. Here are the key takeaways from this article yesterday afternoon. The Andersson market is heating up fast. Calgary is pushing to get a deal done before the February 6 to 25 Olympic break. And both NHL sources and Elliotte Friedman confirm that talks have intensified with multiple contenders circling around. The Boston Bruins have already put real assets on the table. They have made an offer that includes defenseman Mason Lohrei and a first-round pick, with Boston holding 2 firsts in the 2026 draft thanks to the Brandon Carlo trade. Meanwhile, you have the Red Wings and the Senators. They're in, but with different constraints. The Red Wings will only proceed if Rasmus Andersson agrees to an extension, and they also have Simon Edvinsson and Axel Sandin Pellikka off limits, while the Senators are focused on adding a true right-shot top-4 D-man as they look to stabilize their blue line. These, of course, are just the key takeaways. There's more detail about it in the article, but all this Rasmus Andersson talk has been picking up lately from folks like Elliotte Friedman and other NHL executives speaking about these 3 teams: Ottawa, Boston, Detroit. It does seem like Calgary is getting a little more aggressive in trying to do something, Elliotte Friedman said. It sounds like there's a desire for them to do it before the Olympic break, and teams know that. Now, there have been stops and starts with this before, so I'm always careful, but there are times it seems more active than other times, and one of those times is now. If you scroll down, you can read about the actual offer the Flames have received. Boston made that offer, and I'm hearing it's Mason Lohrei and the Bruins' first-round pick, courtesy of another NHL source. And that's a pretty big deal, honestly. Mason Lohrei and a first-round pick from Boston? Now, say what you want about the Boston Bruins themselves. They're actually doing decently well this season. Their first is not going to be dead last material, but Mason Lohrei is a really interesting name. Big left-handed defenseman, 24 years old, he's young, and he's a guy who exploded on the scene last year with 33 points in 77 games played. Now, the reason he got 33 points is because there were moments where he was actually used on the top power play due to the absence of Charlie McAvoy from the Bruins lineup. Lohrei was an underrated fantasy hockey gem. And I remember last season, there was so much to like out of the constant production that you saw out of this guy throughout various courses of the season. I mean, that area in December, he was a point-producing machine, and ultimately Mason Lohrei proved himself as a worthwhile Boston Bruins D-man, despite the fact that he is listed as a defensive defenseman and a mobile defenseman here on Elite Prospects. He signed on till the end of 2027, making $3.2 million a year, so obviously he's not as good, quote-unquote, as Rasmus Andersson, Where Lohrei stood out was as a puck carrier. His puck skills in small ice situations struck out as a distinct positive in a few instances, particularly for someone of his stature. He's got a snappy wrist shot with good form and an ability to generate a lot of power with very little movement, suggestive of a really strong upper body. Lohrei is a good player. Rasmus Andersson, though, is quite better. So hearing that the Boston Bruins have offered Lohrei and a first for Andersson is pretty significant. Texts to both the Bruins and the Flames sources to confirm were not returned on Tuesday, but that tracks with what was told to RG back at the NHL Draft. Multiple sources confirmed then that Lohrei's name was out there, and another source reached on Tuesday and said that he was told Lohrei came up in NHL trade talks between the Bruins and the Flames. I heard Lohrei recently, and then, too, I was also told a first-round pick would be involved, the source said. It helps because Boston, they have 2 first-round picks at the 2026 draft that'll be held in Buffalo this June. They have their own pick and the Maple Leafs first-round pick that they had acquired in the trade that sent Brandon Carlo to Toronto, and also netted the Bruins forward Fraser Minten. As for the Red Wings and Senators being in on Rasmus Andersson, both teams have been linked to him by multiple outlets, and an NHL executive told RG on Tuesday that the Detroit Red Wings will only agree to any trade for Andersson if it comes with the 29-year-old 6'1", 203-pound rearguard agreeing to a contract extension. The same source also told RG that Red Wings defenseman Simon Edvinsson and Axel Sandin Pellikka are off limits. Yeah, makes sense. I mean, having Edvinsson, Sandin Pellikka, and Andersson all on the same blue line with Albert Johansson will be one next step to bringing Sweden full home onto Motown and their team. Simon Edvinsson's been very good. Axel Sandin Pellikka's got a lot of talent in the future. We speculated whether or not he could be included in an Andersson trade, but if we're hearing now from sources that, hey, Edvinsson and Sandin Pellikka are off limits, then it seems like the Red Wings might just be interested in trading away only futures or only draft picks to get this done, also with an extension. It's the same apprehension that we saw in the Quinn Hughes trade discussions. The Red Wings didn't want to go full send balls to the wall just to get the move done. They wanted to be very careful with whatever assets it was they were shelling out. It's why they got outbid for Quinn Hughes, for Zeev Buium and Marco Rossi and all the stuff the Minnesota Wild sent over. Same thing could be happening here for Rasmus Andersson. Scrolling down into the piece here, with regards to the Ottawa Senators, no names were specified, but, by all accounts, a right-shot top 4 D-man is still the primary target for the team that is trying to find its way as of late. That's what they'd like the most, another real threat on the right side. One of the aforementioned sources told RG, the Golden Knights, Ducks, and Dallas Stars have also expressed interest in Andersson, who is in the final year of his $6-year, $4.5 million AAV contract. So with that in mind, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about Rasmus Andersson as a trade piece? What are your thoughts on Mason Lohrei and a first-round pick being offered for Andersson in a deal? And do you think the Detroit Red Wings have what it takes to outbid a team like Boston for this player, assuming they don't include Simon Edvinsson or Axel Sandin Pellikka in the move? If you're a Sens fan, how do you feel about the situation as well? Having Andersson with Jordan Spence and Shabbat sounds like a pretty good idea to me, but what do you think the trade return is? Thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this British Rolls 99, and bye.